So, chosen family, yay! Right, so with chosen family, what we do is, with this game at least,
Yeah.
so the aim of the game is to get as many happy families as possible.
Right, which means you have to possess all 4 members of a particular family.
Okay, so I have this particular family, at which I would like to have more family members
Okay.
as part of the goal of the game. So I would ask Derek,
Yes.
is Mr. Plod at home?
Is Mr. Plod
Plod
at home? No, Mr. Plod is not at home.
Okay, so when he says he's not at home, I will pick a card to try to build a better family of sorts. And then
Correct.
it's Derek's turn.
Sorry, I screwed up. Mr. Plod is at home. Which then demonstrates that if Mr. Plod is at home,
I will take Mr. Plod. My family is not completed yet.
okay, but it's now my turn to ask.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I have to pay more attention. Okay, is Mrs. Bone at home?
Mrs. Bone. Mrs. Bone is not at home.
Which means I will then draw a card.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'll get Mrs. Bone to actually form a more complete suit. Unfortunately, this is not Mrs. Bone. Then
Okay.
the game continues.
Yeah. So, of course, we're not going to play the entire game on camera.
It's going to take a while.
So, the idea of this game
Yes.
is us choosing the family
Yeah, right.
to complete us.
Yeah.
And with chosen family, it's something that I've gone through myself
Yeah, right. Yeah.
in the years that I've been overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you are so far away from your actual family, you do need to find people that you can connect with.
Yeah.
And you can roughly rely on.
Correct.
It's actually a lot easier said than done.
Correct. And in this context, Philip is talking about the notion of being an expatriate,
Yes.
a professional based overseas away from their home country. But we also know that there are people who are put in positions due to whatever reasons that they have to choose new families because their families have chosen to abandon them and or they have to run away from their families.
Yeah, from the original family.
That's correct.
So it's typical for gay people.
Yes. Queer,
So
let's say queer.
Queer people to be rejected by their own family,
Yes.
and they are being forced out of their family home.
That's
And
correct.
then they are also out of no choice. They really have to, for survival instinct,
Correct.
look for their chosen family.
Correct. And of course, there are also situations where fostering, for example, you have children who are in families and their lives are literally being threatened by incompetent parenting. So they are then placed in foster homes and they will have to find new parents. So chosen family, if you will. But of course, chosen by the state in this case, but still chosen nonetheless.
Yeah, for chosen family, what's your take on them? I mean, we like them
Yes.
and it's important.
Correct. Yeah.
But I just speaking out of my for full disclosure, I sometimes treat my chosen family better than my actual family.
Sometimes. And I think, Philip, that is no fault of your own. Because I think the whole point of choosing a family means that you have found, again, back to the idea of construct and content. You have found content that you align with that chosen family member, whether it's a hobby, interest, or even a value and a perspective. So once content aligns, construction happens, and voila. And you don't have to deal with the baggage that comes with being in a born family. So yeah.
Well, that part may or may not be true.
Yes.
Because the chosen family members themselves may also have trauma.
Yes.
It's up to them to choose again whether to bring that trauma into the chosen family.
Correct. And no, we're not using the F word called friendship. Yeah. This is more than a friendship. This is fairly close. I see the notion of chosen family to be fairly close. It goes beyond chosen friendships. And I was just watching A Day Drinking by Seth Meyers with Paul Rudd, and Actually, relationship experts say if a friendship lasts beyond 7 years, it's forever.
Yay!
Yay!
We're forever friends. You know who you are.
Love you.
Ah,
Yeah.
now that I think about it.
Which is
yeah.
why I want to move away from the friendship discussion,
Okay.
such that
yes,
the
yes,
chosen
yes.
family is a lot more serious than friendship.
Yes.
You know, friendship, of course, by its lesser
Hmm.
acquaintanceship, like
Yeah,
you will.
yeah.
So yeah, chosen family is great.
Mm. And from most research, they say that the older that you get, the
Yes.
harder it is to make friends.
That's correct.
So you're right. Any friends which are from your past,
Correct.
and that last 7 years
Mm-hmm.
or more,
Correct.
is family already.
I think it needs to be mutual, huh? let's assume it's mutual. That
The appreciation is mutual.
that's correct. That the other party also appreciates that this is no longer just a friendship. This can elevate to the level of a chosen family.
Yes. With chosen family,
Yeah.
how do you think it will evolve?
I don't know. I think it'll be nice if we recognize these sort of relationships at a more at a broader level. I think I think it's necessary for people to realize that if you are dealt a bad hand, if you're dealt a bad hand in terms of the family that you're born into, it's not the end of the world.
Yes, you always have a choice.
Yeah, you can choose. You can choose to jettison. Not encouraging family breakups, but you can choose to jettison whatever doesn't serve you anymore and find the right people to live out the rest of your life. Because no person is an individual.
It's an island.
Yes, and it's very necessary for people to find the people that they can and they should surround themselves with.
What I was trying to get at with the question about family is that we've seen actual families getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Like the younger people these days, sometimes they don't even want to have kids, right? So they have adopted cats and dogs as their family members.
Fur babies.
Yeah, and it's almost like the case of Karl Lagerfeld where he
show pet.
Yeah, the entire inheritance is going to the cat.
Wow. Just one priceless pussy.
Yes, a priceless pussy. Our chosen families, actually chosen families, not chosen family. We have a lot of chosen families.
Yep.
It's almost like little nucleus.
Yeah.
That bind all of us together.
For sure. And I think again it goes back to the notion of way back when, way back when we were all still living in villages, right? The village is a loose collection of different families, and again, when resources are scarce, a united village is able to withstand any hardship that's external. Fast forward to now, if the individual born family is that small, whether maybe you have only 1 or 2 kids, the kids themselves will, without a larger set of relatives, because the parents themselves are actually only 1 or 2 siblings, right? So they will have to find their chosen family.
And that also points back to the topic that we talked about, resources, right?
Yes.
So they have less to fall back on.
Yep.
And they also have less to look forward to.
Yeah.
Hence, chosen families is the way to go. It's almost
question mark.
Is this the way to go? No. Like we talk about kids' parents have less siblings. So uncle, aunties, cousins are not there for them to fall back on.
Correct.
And then they themselves, sometimes they also don't have siblings.
Yeah.
Right? So and we talk about, not talk about, but perhaps we may talk about the loneliness epidemic that's happening around the world right now.
That's right.
It's perhaps time for youngsters to think about establishing mini chosen families.
Correct.
I
think it's an interesting concept to entertain because with families that you're born into, right?
Mhm.
You somehow have some kind of obligation / responsibility, right?
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
for example, in the case of Singapore, the Filial Piety Act is, I don't know what is in place, but yeah, it is. Yeah,
I think it's being enforced even stricter these days.
right. So the Filial Piety Act actually actually empowers parents to bring their wayward children to court and to support them, because the state is not going to do that, right?
So we are not a welfare state.
We are not. So it is in the state's interest to make sure that the family unit remains functional, even from a financial perspective.
But having
Correct.
said that,
Yeah,
we are also aware that families are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Correct.
Population is getting smaller these days.
Yeah.
How relevant is a Filial Piety Act in the future?
Which is interesting, which then goes back to my point that if you have a chosen family, again, back to the idea of construct and content, right? You may have to align with your chosen family what are some of the roles and responsibilities and obligations. Because it's all fun and games until shit hits the ceiling fan, right?
You reminded me of this. Okay, so in old Cantonese villages,
Yeah.
right? Women who are old maids,
They are the older ones who never got married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of any reasons,
Yeah.
right? They would actually band together,
Yeah.
and then they live in this little village. We call it the Gu Po Ok.
Yeah, correct.
Gu Po U,
Yeah.
where a bunch of old maids stay
Mhm.
together because their actual family is dead, abandoned them. For whatever reasons, they are left to their own devices.
Correct.
So a lot of them save up, and then they want to be banded together.
Yeah.
And this sounds like a lot of friends around. Not saying anybody.
But that said, we have the same version here in Singapore, right?
Who?
The Hong Tou Jing lah.
Oh yeah lah.
Right,
True,
so
yeah.
the I don't even know the translation of that. So the Samsui women, yes, the Samsui women in Singapore, they were very instrumental in the process of Singapore's nation building. However, because they're all women that came from China, chances are they don't have families of their own. So they all live together, and they establish this 金兰姐妹, which basically is a strong sisterhood, which again is about chosen families.
So perhaps in closing,
Yeah.
is the future of family chosen families that are banded together, the so-called Gu Po Wu concept,
Right, yeah.
old maids village?
Correct, yeah.
Because look, we might have partners, wives, husbands, spouses, kids, fur babies, right?
Right.
End of the day, you will probably die alone. Probably. I'm not being pessimistic here.
True, because we all know the life expectancy of an average male is always less than a female.
Yeah.
So there will be such situations
where your partner, spouse, fur babies, kids leave you or abandon you.
Correct. And in our grandparents and parents' generation, they have an extensive family that they can fall back on for emotional support or financial whatsoever. But again, going with the idea of family sizes shrinking, Singapore's falling birth rate, if we have chosen families,
that could be the way to go.
Yeah, right.
Hence what you talked about, establishing
roles, responsibilities, and obligations, right? It's like, okay, fine. It may take a while for the legal framework to catch up and societal acceptance, but I think we probably have to start. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
We probably have to start thinking about it, right?
Retirement homes where people, those are called retirement, but not necessarily retirement homes lah.
Correct, yeah. And look, the whole point of the Filial Piety Act came about because kids are prepared to ditch their parents. Unfortunate, but true.
Okay.
So what that means is that if there is a legal framework that anticipates this sort of behavior, why don't we be on the proactive and positive to think about chosen families and how we can make it work for a country that's getting smaller and smaller?
Yeah. So don't just protect the nuclear family, but also think about what are the possibilities when it comes to chosen families.
Yeah, exactly. Because, and of course, this side, I mean, building on the side point about how in some cultures and in some countries, they actually do believe that friendship is more important than partnership, or long lasting, if you will.
That's correct.
Exactly.
I've heard about Norwegian countries,
Yeah.
those which are up north, where they don't really need marriage per se.
Yeah.
They can be like perfect strangers staying together.
Mm.
Some sort of cohabitation arrangements.
Correct.
That's fine.
Or in Hawaiian culture, where the third gender is actually a male that actually inhabits two spirit, and they actually are crucial in keeping a family together by playing the surrogate auntie / mother role.
Yes. So it doesn't, that is a little bit far off, but it does illustrate the point where the gender roles that's being assigned at birth,
correct,
is quite similar to how we are being dealt into, being given a family that we didn't choose at birth.
Exactly. So, and then of course, this entire discussion on chosen family is predicated on the fact that family doesn't have to be one kind. It doesn't have to be a father, mother, son, daughter configuration.
Yes. All of the young kids were being hoodwinked.
Yes.
We were being hoodwinked.
I know, right? Fuck you, system. Fuck you, patriarchy. Fuck you.
Right. I think we have had a fun discussion.
I know, right?
Family.
Yeah, all because of some cheap card game, huh?
Yeah, I think you used the word cheap quite correctly. This is only 150, but it felt a lot cheaper than what the cards that we used to play with.
Okay, granted, the ones that we used to play with were not top quality also lah, but I think the artwork was better.
Yes, ours is better. Maybe because back then hands were smaller, so the cards felt bigger, thicker. And,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think yes, this could be an interesting thing for us to do for the rest of the afternoon.
I need to get some coffee first. But until then, I think this is the end of our episode.
Yes, as always, like, subscribe, share.
Yes, and we will be back next week with more topics to talk about.
That's correct. So until then, this is Derek.
This is Philip. Bye-bye.
Bye.